the early 2000s, Matt Diamante was in a band called Little Tyrant. Like every day zero artist, he started with sound, but no audience. While most musicians wait for the big break, Matt did something different. He enrolled in advertising school just to learn how to hack the system for his music. Today, he runs HeyTony, a 15-person agency that strips the magic out of SEO to give small business owners the one thing they actually need, a path to connect to their audience. Today, we're talking about the messy middle, from driving trucks on film sets to managing global accounts from KFC to Honda, and how he finally flipped the script on what it means to get found. And then, as a little bit of a bonus, as we explore Matt's journey, we're also going to go deep and start talking about a flip market, in this case, the market that Matt plays in. So, Matt, super excited to have you on the show. Welcome.
Uh, Thank you for having me. This is really great. One thing that I want to say, and it kind of is counterintuitive to everything I'm here to talk about, is that was not the name of my band. And you probably can't find any information about the band online, which is totally fine. The band
That's
was called
amazing.
Shortcut to Last.
All right.
Yeah, no, would you say Little Tyrant?
I
I
got
love
Little
that.
Tyrant.
Like that. So that's the thing. Like, it was so long ago, and like, there's no website anymore. There's no anything that it's like impossible to find information about that band.
We're going to come back to this,
Yeah.
to my slip up, because that's a total AI research slip up. My
Yeah.
producer, Mr. Won't
Yeah.
cite the AI that I'm using,
Mr.
but
GPT.
yeah, it's Gemini.
Yeah.
And they presented that with total clarity. I think I'll have to look through my notes. There might even be a link where
That's
they
so funny.
found a talk that you gave that said, this is the name of your
Whoa.
band. And
That's
yeah,
crazy.
it's pretty wild. So,
I love that.
okay, shortcut to last,
Yeah.
not Little Tyrant.
It's
So,
so good.
so let's do before we kind of go back, and we are going to start there. But just to kind of orient the audience on you and what you're up to. What are you up to? Who are you? What are you doing? And that alone is pretty impressive in its own right.
Yeah, so I run an SEO agency. I've been doing SEO for like 15 plus years at this point. I think you mentioned that. Um, I post videos on social media every single day to, attract new audiences, help people do and learn how to do SEO themselves. And yeah, I've been lately playing around with AI and Cloud Code a lot, and it's wild what you can do.
And what you can't do, apparently.
Yeah, I mean,
No,
like, listen, if this podcast is going to put the band back on the map, that's what I'm gunning for here. That's why we're here, actually.
I
Yeah.
love it. So, okay, so let's talk about the band, right? What'd you play?
Yeah. I played bass because nobody wanted to play bass, and I sang in the band because we couldn't find a reliable singer. I wasn't great,
Yeah,
but we
that's all
made
right.
do.
Yeah, and band, high school band or college band? How'd
This
this
was
band
like
come together?
It was like towards the end of high school, into the college area. I actually went to school for heating and cooling for a year, and during that time, that's when I was in the band. And then I took a year off. I dropped out of that because I was like, I'm not fixing people's furnaces,
Yeah.
right? And then, yeah, so that's the kind of the era we're looking at, like late high school, college.
I've spoken to other folks that have kind of not exactly heating and cooling, but similar kind of world. So you're in that space. You graduate high school. You're studying heating and cooling. Family does that, or how do you get to that?
My parents were like, that's a really good, reliable job. We know people who does that. Like, you can make a lot of money. And I was like, I don't know what I want to do. And it was like a last minute, like, I'm going to try this.
Yeah,
And I was good at it. I don't mind doing that stuff, but I was like, I don't want to do this for 30, 40, 50 years.
right. Yeah, I get that. And so you're playing in the band. You're kind of running around. You guys tour?
Not really. I think we played like 3 or 4 out of town shows in our short time. Yeah.
Okay. And so now you're looking for something, right? If I'm kind of just following the story, you know what you're not doing, which is heating and cooling, and you kind of maybe you still feel like your band is gonna kind of blow
Yeah.
up, or are you now, as you're starting to look for this next thing, you get into marketing? Is it really
So
to solve the band, or are you on a journey?
It's like at the time I was like, how can I one shut my parents up and go back to school? Because they're like, you have to go to school for something. Like they're covering college, all that stuff. And I was like, fine. Like, and then I begrudgingly chose something, and I was like, at least this will help me with the band. And it was like an advertising program. Um, but at the time, like I was so focused on growing the band and getting more and more people out to shows. And like, not that I didn't think we were bad, but you didn't have to be like the like best band in the world, like everybody loves every single song, anything like that, to start building an audience. And I think at the time I had read like a Blink 182 book or something.
Right.
And it was how they, like, if you listen to their first album or their first EPs, like their songs weren't good. But what they kept doing was getting more and more people out to the shows, right? It was more of like a performance than like a musical act, if you will. And they started getting more and more people. And I was like, I could do the same thing. I could get people out to shows and then, hustle, do that. And then they bring a friend, then the next person brings a friend and so on. And then all of a sudden you have these bigger venues,
Right.
or out of town or whatever it might be. And that was really my driving motivation, just like get more people out to shows, get more people out to shows. And I was like, this program is going to help me do that.
I want to come back to a concept on that little. It's going to be a little bit of a curveball, but let's keep coming forward now. So you're running this. You're going to school, and you're developing. Are you developing passion for marketing at this point? Or are you still focused on band?
Still focus on band year one of the 3-year program. Yeah.
Okay. And now you finished the program. Did you finish the program?
Yep. I finished the program. It was in year two that the band kind of fell apart. People moved away for like internships or jobs or whatever, kind of
Right.
fell apart. And it was around the same time I was like, oh, marketing can be fun. It's very, very creative in a different way,
Yep.
which I wanted to like keep that part of the creativity in whatever I did. Like heating and cooling just isn't that creative, right? This wire has to connect here. This fan
Right.
has to blow this way. This vent needs to go with this vent. I mean, and anybody who's in heating and cooling, if they're listening to this, yes, it can be creative. There's creative problem solving, but not the kind that I was looking for. And for some reason, I really fell in love. I had like one SEO class and I really fell in love with SEO specifically. And I was like, this is fun. This is like a puzzle that like the pieces don't quite fit, but you can make them fit if you do the right things. And yeah, it was just so weird that I started liking that. I was like, this is fun. And everybody else was like, are you nuts? SEO is not fun. SEO is the most boring thing in the world. I was like, good, more
Right.
for me.
This is around 2010, if I'm
Um,
tracking, give or take
we're
your timeline, right?
we're looking at like between 2010 and 2013.
Yeah, and the SEO was hot then. I mean, so it's funny because like SEO was. I remember I was in that space, um, and it was definitely starting to wane, I might say, and getting into social, which
Yeah,
became like the next hot thing, right around 29, something like that.
yeah,
Social started to pick up, and it's really kind of fascinating. And we'll talk about this too, of your kind of journey, how you've managed to stitch those two things together to get into, I guess, what I might call 4.0.
yeah,
All right. So you finish school,
yep.
and now what happens? You don't have an
Um,
agency. You're working on
so
sets,
I
if I
moved.
recall, right?
Yeah, well, so a bunch of things happened in a short period of time.
Yeah, it's
So
about right. You
I,
finish school, and that's
yeah,
about how that works. Yeah.
so I moved from the small town where I grew up to Toronto, which is the biggest city in Canada.
Yeah.
That alone is like a massive shift in just like your mindset and like your life. And
What motivated that? Just
well, I
to
got an internship through school at a big media company. It was only a month long. It wasn't paid, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to use this. I'm going to interview. I'm going to like figure something else out. After that 1 month, they were like, we don't have a job. It was a department of two, like in the social media space.
right.
Um, so they were like, yeah, we don't have anything for you. And so I had lined up another internship like a week later that started. That was like a 3 or 4 month thing. and that was working on like these massive brands that you mentioned, like KFC and Honda and Bacardi and all these big brands. And I did that for 4 months, and I was like, I really don't like this. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't like how much BS there was with pitching stuff to a client. Like, and at the time, we're creating Facebook posts.
Yep.
Well, these like one Facebook post would take 5 to 10 hours worth of time to create. I'm talking like a line of text and a photo.
Oh, yeah.
And
And
I'm like,
50
this is,
approvals. Yeah.
yeah, I'm like, this is so ridiculous. Like, this is like, obviously everybody's gonna be like, this is really great content. I made this, but like, still to this day, for one of the brands, I have like the highest amount of engagement that that brand has ever gotten. I say ever, and this is all the way back to like 2014, 2013, or something
Mm-hmm.
like that. So I did that 4 month, or 3 or 4 months, whatever the internship was. And then I was like, don't like this. My buddy's a filmmaker. He's like, hey, I'm starting to shoot a movie. Do you want to come work on it? I was like, hell yeah.
Right.
So I went, worked on a film set, and that was fun. But it was only like 23 days or whatever the shoot
Yeah.
was.
What'd you do there?
And I was like, this is the craziest thing.
Uh-huh.
I was the production coordinator. I had no experience.
Yeah.
Like, it was like an indie film. I was doing all this stuff, and just kind of learning as I went. But it like the movie got made. The movie did well, and it's yeah, surprised
What
that
was
I
the
didn't
movie?
mess it up. It's called The Scare House.
Okay.
Yeah,
Um,
indie horror movie,
yep.
low budget kind of thing, but like it made its rounds. It did really well. I think it was like the number one torrented movie in the world for like a month or something like that. And my buddy's like, dude, this is sick. He's like, the filmmaker's like, I'm not making any money off this, but people are seeing my work. Like, people are seeing my art.
Right.
I was like, that's amazing. I love that outlook.
Yeah. No, that's
Yeah.
I spent a fair amount of time in the entertainment industry. I know of
Yeah.
what you speak.
So from there, I like come back to my apartment in Toronto, which was actually a townhouse I was sharing with like 8 other people,
Right.
which was insane. But I was like, rent is very cheap right now. I need to figure out what I want to do. I know I don't want to do like the traditional agency thing wasn't for me. So I was like, maybe, I have buddies who work at agencies. Maybe I can convince them to get me like driving a truck or something on like sets for these big jobs because they paid like $250 a day.
Right.
And I was like, oh, that's sick. That's like a lot of money. And it would be like 2 or 3 day shoot. And they feed you all that kind of stuff. So I'm like, I'm saving on groceries. I'm like not spending money. This is great. I'm making cash. And then from there, I was like, well, this isn't really consistent because it'd be like 2 or 3 days back to back and then nothing for 3 weeks. And then I'm like, well, I need I need to do something. So I was freelancing, like trying to get any client that I could. Like I did the most ridiculous things from like building a website that was like a marketplace, like a very complex thing that I did not know how to do. And of
Right.
course, when you're early in your career, you're like, yeah, I can do that. I can build that for you.
Oh yeah.
Um, so I did like all kinds of crazy stuff in the like the marketing space because I had that skill set. And yeah, eventually it just like I had too many clients, so I had to hire somebody. I was like, I guess I should make this official and like start a company.
Okay.
And that was it.
That
Yeah,
was it.
like I'd probably still be driving a truck if it wasn't for like the inconsistent hours.
I could see that. Okay. And so here you are. Now you're fast forward and you got a pretty good sized team with you. Um and you know, I've been looking through some of your stuff. You obviously have a lot of passion for technical SEO. It seems like SEO is still, I'd say it's okay if I'm wrong, but it seems like it's the core essence of your organization.
Yeah.
There's like a
So
lot, everything revolves around SEO.
yeah, so we only do SEO for other businesses. Like we don't run Facebook ads, we don't do anything else like that.
Right. Okay. And um, so as you're kind of in the moment now, do you find that your life is more about managing people or are you still a technical SEO?
That's a really great question because for a while there, I was doing a lot of the managing of the team and like not doing as much SEO. But recently, in the last like year, that has flipped, like, or maybe like year and a half, 2 years, time flies. I hired somebody who like manages the team, does the day to day. I come in like if the team has questions like with SEO, I can answer those questions for them. We also do like weekly team training where we're like actually doing SEO and looking and analyzing sites and all this kind of stuff. So I'm very much like in SEO. I'm still doing SEO, not for clients, but for my own projects.
Right.
And I'm also working with the team being like, okay, here's a theory that I have. Here's what some people are talking about online. They're saying this works. Like, let's test this on a few clients. Like not like the entire strategy, but like on a few pieces of content. Let's try answering the question immediately. See if that brings us higher in like AI overview and ChatGPT and stuff like that. And so we get to experiment like on a bigger scale, not that it's harming clients at all.
Hmm.
If anything, it's helping them, get into, the AI results, all that kind of stuff. So I'm very much still in the game, which I think like separates me from a lot of agency owners where they're like managing people, like talking to clients, doing all this. I'm like, I don't want to do that. I want to do the thing that I like.
That's hard, I think, for a lot of folks. So to recognize that, to be able to say, this is actually what both I'm really good at and also what I
Yeah.
really want to do. Um, how close are you to from where you grew up?
Probably live like 3 hours away now.
Yeah. And that concept of saying I want to do more technical SEO, even though I have a big company, how long did it take you to realize? And then from once you realized that you wanted to do that, how long did it take you to put that together to say, I'm going to go bring in an additional resource to kind of manage the business per se?
Well, everything kind of really started like blowing up like mid to late 2023 when I started posting on social media every day.
Yep.
Um, and it was like, I think it was like November 2023 where I hired somebody to like help me manage. I was like, I don't know what this role is. Like she's like a friend of mine. I was like, I just need help. I need you to help me figure out like exactly what your responsibilities are going to be. And then we're going to do this together. And like, I need stuff off my plate because I have to make these videos and I have to do this work and I have to do all of this stuff. So it was like fairly quick. It didn't feel quick. I felt like I was drowning for a long, long time.
Right. So she was your production coordinator.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Okay, I love that. Um, and just staying on that social concept, originally for this actual show, the idea wasn't necessarily a people story. It was about being able to flip that kind of social switch, going from that Facebook story that you were telling earlier is very
Yeah.
resonant. I remember that very well. I was kind of in that kind of struggling to land those types of gigs that somebody's going to overpay me to write a Facebook and post and torture the living
Yeah.
what out of me. um
Yeah.
I get that.
Very
And
real.
so fast forward, that sounds like around 2013. Was that like the first time where you got exposed to social at that kind of scale, or how did you get to this idea that you were going to post a video a day?
Okay. So yeah, I didn't start posting on social media. Actually, after that job where I was doing like Facebook posts for these big brands, I was like, I hate social media. So I got off of social media until really like 2022.
Okay.
Like, so I was gone for a while. Like when I came back, I was like, is Instagram IGTV or whatever it was called? I was like, how do I get videos on that? And people were like, that doesn't exist anymore. They're called Reels now. It's been called Reels for a long time. And I was like, oh, okay. So I really just the reason I started posting was I read a lot of marketing books and like business books, all that kind of stuff. And I had read two books back to back. One was called The One Thing. And have you read The One Thing?
I have not, but I'll
Oh,
check it
it's a
out.
fantastic book.
Yeah, who's it by?
Jay Pappison and Gary Keller of Keller Williams, which is crazy because it's a real estate company. But
Yep.
so I read that book, and like the gist of it is like, what is one thing you can do every day that will help you get closer to your 1 year, 5 year, 10 year goal? Whether that's like personal, business, health, wealth, whatever your goal is. What's one thing you can do
Right.
every single day?
Smart.
And I was like, okay, that's great. Um, but I don't know what I'm gonna do. I have no idea. And then I immediately after that just by coincidence, picked up Gary Vee's book called Jab, 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 Right Hook.
Okay.
And in that book, he's like, social media is, and like it was a little bit dated at the time. It's very dated now, but the
Yeah.
concept still makes sense. Where it's like social media is literally free. If you post every single day, like you will get results. And I was like, I don't know. I'm like, I see enough of this stuff online where people are like, just do this and you're going to see results. And I'm like, I'm calling BS on this. But I was like, you know what? If it does work, genius, right?
Yeah.
It's so simple. Just post a video every day on social media. Um, so I was like, okay, inspired by both those books, I literally put the book down and filmed my first video. And every single day since then have been posting one to, well, not even just one, probably like 3 to 5 videos a day.
Okay. Were you nervous? 22?
Yeah. In 2022, I was a referral only business. Right. So I had like, I think 3 people on my team, and I didn't know if we were going to get more work, if we're going to lose a client, if this big project that we were doing,
Right.
would
It's
pay on time,
tenuous.
all of this
Right, right,
stuff.
right, right,
Yeah.
right.
High highs, low lows. Like 1 grand, I'm like, cool, I just made 50 grand this month. And then I'm like, well, now I need to save that money because I might have to pay staff for 3 months because we don't have enough projects.
Yep.
Right. And you don't want to keep hiring and firing. It's a whole, like, that's just not good. Um, so yeah, in 2022, I was nervous. I was like, I don't know when my next client's coming. I need to do something.
Yeah. And this
And that's when I
idea.
started posting.
Hmm. And so it wasn't really an SEO play. It was more of a traditional social marketing play.
Yeah, I was like, how can I get people to know about my SEO
Right.
services
Right. So you
on social?
show what you know, of course.
Yeah.
Smart. Yeah, that makes total sense. And so I obviously picked up the story way past that. We're in 2026, and I get the perspective of here's a guy who's just banging it out, really, really well produced. I mean, I have pretty, I wouldn't say the most sophisticated eye, but certainly you have, you and team, you're doing a really wonderful job in terms of
It's just me.
it's just you. You're doing
I'm
okay.
like, except for like carousels, which I have somebody on my team helping me with.
Yep.
That's not her primary job either.
Yep.
Um, like I'm doing all the videos.
You do
I'm
all the
coming up with
thumbs.
concepts. I just do whatever thumbnail it gives me.
Uh
I'm
huh.
not putting like any more. I'm like, if the content is good, it'll speak for itself. Now the YouTube game, you need a good thumbnail. That's a whole different thing, which I'm getting into shortly. So I'm pivoting slightly again.
I think your Instagram thumbs are pretty solid. They all have the big red button. Somebody's producing that.
Oh, those are carousels. Yeah. So that's somebody on my team making those things. But all the
Yeah.
videos,
Okay.
like the videos are all me. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's well done, and
Thank
the
you.
content obviously is really relevant. You can see just from the engagement. So um, before we get into the market, I did want to ask a little bit to poke at this a little bit because I think it's very um, relevant to where your head's at right now. So you have this journey happening where you're building this business. Do you feel when is it enough? I guess what's the goal as far as where you're going with the business and
I mean, like it's enough. Like it's been enough for a while. You know what I mean? Like it's it's more like what can we create? Let's just
uh-huh.
like let's have fun with this now. It's no longer in the like I'm struggling to get clients, I'm struggling to pay bills. It's like okay, like we have a team. Oh, this is really cool. Like oh, we can do this with AI. We can build this thing. We can have it help us with SEO. We can build custom things.
Right.
So it's like it's really like it's just it's a I don't want to call it a hobby because my wife hates when I say that my work is a hobby, but I really enjoy it. Right? Like left to my own devices, like I'm doing this.
That's awesome. Love that.
Yeah.
One just final question on your business. Rank week? How'd it
Yeah.
go? I was really
Rank week went
curious. Yeah.
really well.
Yeah.
I had 3,000 people sign up.
Unbelievable. That's
The
great.
biggest Zoom I've ever had was 17, I think it was 1,700 people showed up to a live Zoom, which if you've ever been in a room that large, it's nuts.
That's amazing.
Absolutely crazy. I can't read the comments. The first time I did rank week, I was like trying to read all the comments while I was like explaining stuff. You get way too distracted. Then somebody says something stupid and you're like, oh yeah, maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. But then you're like,
Right.
wait. Like, yeah,
Oh, that's great. That's just quite the evolution from I would say shortcut to last to where you're at right now.
yeah,
So I love it. So I want to just pivot a little bit and talk through kind of this concept. It's still a little bit soft in my head, but I have a pretty good idea of kind of where I'm leaning towards, and I'd love to just get your perspective on it. It's a flipped
yeah,
market is where I kind of want to go with this part of our discussion. And
yeah,
so, we talked a little bit about this. I have a theory on markets overall, but your market in particular is super hot right now. Everybody is very focused on whether you want to call it converting SEO to GEO or if you want to call it AI engine optimization. It's just really hot. So you're kind of you're right on the edge of it. So what's going on in your mind as you guys kind of sit here and you look at, SEO was not, I don't want to say it was sleepy for a while, but it definitely didn't have as much mind share as it does today.
yeah.
Somebody who's right in the middle of the market, first kind of reactions on how the market flips.
I think it's like, yeah, there's a lot of people doing SEO now and like having more focus on it. I think it's due to like a handful of people, myself included, posting about it on social media and kind of penetrating that market of it. And obviously, like there's people on LinkedIn that have followings that post about SEO, but I'm like, LinkedIn to me, I'm like, that's just a big circle jerk. Everybody's like, oh yeah, congratulations, you got a new job. That's great.
Right.
Um, but like penetrating like the entertainment apps, basically, like Instagram and TikTok with like educational content and like trying to make it entertaining enough that people, breaks through and people actually stay to watch. Um, yeah, so I think there are a lot more people thinking about SEO now, and I think that like it never really like SEO never went away.
Of course not.
SEO is like it's the thing that can make you the most ROI, like in terms of marketing for free, right? You can do it yourself.
Yeah.
And I also like that's what we were talking about rank week. Like that's I show people how to do SEO themselves. And you're probably like, well, isn't that shooting yourself in the foot? Like they're never gonna hire you now. And I'm like, I don't care if they hire me.
Right.
Right. They paid to be at this thing. Right. They're
Yeah.
giving me like $10. It's great. And they're getting a lot of value out of it. Um, yeah. I don't know if I answered your question or if
Yeah. So just kind of staying in that. So, the market moves, sometimes markets move kind of at, a pace of their own. And sometimes I do think this market you were mentioning, you're going deep on Claude right now.
yeah,
People are using Gemini, they're using what have you. People are, businesses are really becoming awake to the fact that it's either an opportunity or there's going to be a scarcity moment or
yeah,
somehow they need to participate in this kind of how people find and discover and solve problems. And I just think it's really interesting. So for you as a practitioner, how much fact, how much experimentation, how much innovation are you comfortable with? It sounds like you're already doing some of that with on behalf of some of your clients. Do you have like a formal strategy around this, or is this kind of an organic feel your way through it?
it's you can't like Google doesn't tell you what the algorithm is, right? Like that's the biggest thing. And like the first thing I'll say is like I love that people get into SEO, but a lot of people get out of SEO, like business owners or agencies or whatever, because it is a very saturated market. There's somebody in the Philippines who will do it for a fraction of the price and like at a fraction of the quality, but people just want to check a box being like, yeah, I'm doing SEO, right? They want to feel good about that. So the thing with that is like that those people die off quickly,
Right.
right? 3, 4 months, they're not seeing results. They're like, SEO is not worth it, whether they're like the actual business doing it or it's like somebody doing a really bad job and they're like, I can't find clients, and I'm like, well, I'm not surprised, right? Because you're not getting them results. So in terms of like the market flipping, yeah, a lot of people are doing SEO, but then a lot of people are also giving up, which is like both like I feel bad that they're giving up because they could be like a couple months away from having a business that just has leads coming in all the time. Um, but then I also like I feel bad for people that are getting scammed by, these quote unquote SEO experts.
Right. You're seeing a lot of that for sure. I think,
Yeah.
you know, SEO 1.0, there was a fair amount of that. And then social, there was definitely a fair amount of some people were real. There was plenty
Yeah.
of charlatans, right? Not everybody's
Hmm.
Gary V. I mean, get it, right? And that's totally real. I can kind of see some similar trends here when we're talking about um, generative optimization, generative experts, generative expertise, and all the whole kind of the real and the quasi consultant playbook. I'm seeing
Yeah.
pretty aggressively. I spend a fair amount of time on LinkedIn, and so I can
Yeah.
see it there. I don't see it as much on places like Instagram, to be honest. I think you're way ahead of the curve here, and you've managed to kind of when I talk about a flipped market, do you think it's net new, or do you think it's a compounding market that has kind of built on a history where you're at right
Um,
now? How do you see it?
in terms of like the clients and people who are looking to do SEO,
I think the space overall, is it still SEO, or is it GEO, or are
I
those
think it's
two
mostly
different things?
bullshit.
Yeah. Awesome.
It's mostly bullshit. Um, it's it's really like I feel like marketers, specifically in the SEO space, try
Yeah.
to confuse people and make it sound more difficult than it actually is.
Yeah.
Um, but like years ago, there's a guy named Marcus Sheridan who wrote a book called "They Ask You Answer," and the premise of the book is your clients have questions, answer the questions, right? Then like that still applies today. And Google actually just a couple of days ago released another core update that is focusing more and more on helpful content and quality content, and not just like all this fluff that you read at the top of a recipe that's like, this is my grandmother's whatever ancient cookie recipe that was passed down for like, I don't need that information. Tell me how much butter I need in these cookies,
Right.
right? So there's a lot of like even like you're talking like GEO. I'm like, GEO is just SEO, right? If you're doing a good job there, you will do a good job in organic like AI results.
I would think so. I
Right.
always, when I used to be in the space, I always used to talk about SEO, and the simplest of terms is, one, who do you want to show up? Okay. So you know that. So
Yeah.
two, to your answer the question, make sure you're giving them a really good experience, and then things seem to work out.
Yeah. And like,
No
so I've been
guarantee on
thinking
that,
about,
but go ahead.
oh, 100%. Like when we talk about SEO, I don't even like saying the words SEO because if somebody doesn't know the acronym, then they're like, "Oh, what is that?" And then you need to search engine optimization. Well, what does that mean? Right? So, but if somebody's like, "Oh, what do you do?" I say, "I help businesses show up higher on Google." Everybody understands that,
Right.
right? You have to dumb it down to like the lowest common denominator, and that's how you should be writing your content as well. We've had clients where they're like, "Oh, here's all the industry terms." I'm like, nobody's searching those terms
Right.
except people in the industry, which aren't your clients.
You're competing with them.
Yeah, and you're like, "What?" Like, I I don't care that you want to rank for that keyword. It doesn't make sense, right? Um, so, oh, where was I going with that? I completely lost my train of thought. That's great
Sorry, I
on a
did that to you.
podcast.
No, no,
No,
that's.
no.
But the idea of whether it's SEO, GEO, you
Yep,
name it, is uh, you know these markets move fast, and this market right now is very hot. But I do tend to agree with you that I don't know if I'd go so far as to say it's bullshit. It right now it is. It feels a little bit in that space, but I don't know if tomorrow or 5 years from now that's still the
yeah,
case. I think there is my view anyway. I can see a lot of similar shape to what I saw in SEO and building WordPress sites way
yep,
back when, what I saw in social, and social in particular kind of went through this curve where it kind of fell apart. It
yep,
became distrustful, but some of the core pieces um, are going to carry forward, and we're going to see that in GEO or maybe
Yeah.
some derivative of that.
Well, the thing too is like when I was talking about, and I realized I didn't answer your question earlier as well about like experimenting and, staying ahead of the curve, all that kind of stuff, which I'll touch on in a sec. Um, but SEO is really like social media, same thing. Like people, if you're trying to game the algorithm to get in front of people,
Right.
that's not how you win, right? You win on social media by creating content that people want to watch,
Right.
right? And then like the rest of the stats come with it. You make a great video, people will watch it,
Right.
right? Same thing with SEO. Like if you aren't trying to game the system, if you're being clear, if you're helping somebody out, which is like at the end of the day, SEO is just you're the solution to somebody's problem. People don't go to Google because they don't have a problem. They go there like realistically, like you go to Google, like your problem is like my roof is leaking. How do I fix it?
Right.
Right? Like, or how much does a roof repair cost? Or how much does it cost to replace my toilet? Like, you have a problem. You're either looking for information, you're looking for a product, you're looking for service. Like, that's what you're doing. Or like you can, yeah, you can get into navigational keywords like Amazon login, right? And that'll bring you that. But the problem is you don't want to type in Amazon.com and then click on the login button. So you just go to Google to do it. So SEO is solving problems. And if you do that in a clear, concise way without like all the BS and like you're actually trying to help people, then you're going to be fine.
Yeah, I don't want to say you're back in the heating and cooling space, but Google is very much a utility, and I do absolutely see that. Of nobody shows up at Google for fun.
Yeah.
I
Like
mean,
maybe,
click.
yeah, I'm going to Google to type in like, what was that video about the funny guy, the cop does or the guy does a jig for the cop.
Right.
And you're like, well, that is also a problem. Like I can't find this video. So Google's going to help me find this video.
And then
Right.
you're going to go consume the video and have joy
Yeah.
or whatever. Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So experimentation. Let's actually cover
Yes.
that, because this is kind of fascinating. And this, there is a lot of pressure. I would presume there's probably a lot of, uh, it sounds like with you in particular, a lot of just native innovation energy that you want to go and put
Yeah.
some form around. And so how do you guys approach this?
Okay. So there's a couple different streams. One is like we have our own sites that we will test things out on, right? Like we'll try publishing a new blog post completely written by AI, but we make sure to answer the question right away. Does that have an impact? Then we'll do the same thing with, hey, what if we quote some experts in this and we have these stats and we like tag people's LinkedIn's? Does that have a big impact on the results? Um, or like, what if we do exactly the same word count as who's ranking number one right now? Because they don't have any backlinks. What if we do the exact same thing, just change up the content? Like we're testing all of this stuff. Or like, what if we buy a press release and include a link to this? Right. So we're doing all of this, and that's one stream. The other stream is like I have friends who are SEO experts. Like nobody really gets that far ahead on their own, right?
Right.
So we all share like what's working, what's not working, experiments that we're trying, what is like absolutely destroyed a website, and like we're doing this on our own stuff. Like we're not trying crazy experiments on like a client site. Like that would be
Of course.
irresponsible. Um, but like, oh yeah, we published this, it didn't get indexed, and it actually hurt traffic site wide or something like that. So we're doing these experiments. Like there's maybe like 5 or 6 of us who are, it's not really a group. I just talked to all these people. Um, but we're doing all these experiments. And then also like, I just watch like content on Instagram or TikTok of people that are talking about SEO or even social media or whatever. And they're like, I just tried this thing and I got all this traffic, or I made all this money. And I'm like, can I debunk this? Right?
Uh-huh.
Can I run the same experiment and get any kind of similar result? And if I can't, then I'm like, maybe this doesn't work. Maybe that person was BSing. Maybe like, and if they shared like a link to their piece of content, like I'll go to the content and be like, oh, it's because they built like 500 backlinks to this over, the last year. They've been
Right.
working on this for a while. Um, so it's like it is a lot of experimenting. You have a theory, you need to prove it or not, all that kind of stuff. And as things change, like we have access to like a ton of Google Search Console accounts from our clients. So we can see like, oh, all of a sudden there's a spike over here and a spike over here. What's the correlation in terms of content? And now we have AI that can analyze all this content for us a lot quicker and be like, well, this content is more clear and direct, or both of these are citing different sources that are reputable, right? Or maybe you're linking to LinkedIn or, whatever other site. So we're
Yep.
able to get a lot of data from stuff that's already out there for our clients.
That makes sense. I think that's in particular where we're going to see a lot of the innovation is on that last piece that you mentioned of being able to correlate and triangulate in ways that, particularly for SEOs that it's, people are that's hard for people to do at scale. They can observe trends, but they can't necessarily see everything at once. And
Yeah.
that's probably where a lot of the innovation's going to happen and a
Well,
lot of the go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, you know what I did, David? I used Claude Code. I was able to get our client data into a dashboard that like I have. And I'm like, I just say, scan, tell me why these, like, what is the trend right now? And it scans the content and it will give me insights into like, here's what's performing, here's what's not performing based on top performing content from all of these clients versus bottom performing content that gets 0 clicks,
Yeah.
right? But get impressions, right? You need to have some impressions. So we can get all these insights. Like schema markup doesn't really matter all that much. You can stuff as much shit in there as you want, but when it comes down to it, like the standard WordPress or Shopify or Wix or Squarespace schema markup in there is good enough.
Yeah. Yeah, that would make sense. I mean, these engines they're sharp.
Yeah, it's crazy. They're like anybody who's not using AI, like to at least get insights into who your audience is or, what they want or, what's working in your business versus what's not working. Like, what are you doing?
Well, I think that's for a lot of business owners. That's they're focused on running the business, not necessarily on
In
marketing
the
the
business.
business. And
Yeah.
some of that stuff is there's still a lot of technological anxiety. I would say
Yeah.
for a lot of business owners, it's just they can run a cash register, but if you
Mhm.
were to ask them to analyze all their sales, they'd go with their gut.
Yeah.
And no, it's neat. So that's, I guess, why there's folks like you out there to help them.
Yeah. I mean, and like that's the thing too. Like the insights that I find, I share on social media all the time. Like you don't have to pay me anything
Right.
to learn how to do this stuff or to learn what's happening right now.
Yeah. And that's, I think for some that's amazing. And for others, that's just a trust signal that, there's credibility there and just even a willingness to share is enough to unlock a different kind of dialogue and get into a
Yeah.
client relationship.
100%.
Oh man, this has been fun. So I do have one final request of you. I know we talked about you
Oh
had
God.
mentioned the recipe piece. No, this isn't
Yeah.
bad. But we do have a recipe segment here on the show. It's actually called the Flip Story Recipe.
Okay.
And we invite all of our guests to contribute their page in our book. And so, typically this is where we invite our guests to kind of give us the ingredients, the method, ultimately whatever the final product is. Could be in your case for SEO, it could be for running a business, it could be kind of however you want to kind of play that. But Matt, I'd like to invite you to
Yeah.
contribute.
So my recipe for success that I would say works for any business is persistence and showing up for your business every single day. What I mean by that is like, don't show up and like work the cash register, spend like half of your day promoting your business in some way, whether that's SEO or posting on social media, like making videos, like anything like that. If it's door knocking, I don't care. Just do something to work on your business, not just in your business. And if you're persistent, given enough time, your competitors will fall off. You'll be the only name in town.
Love it. I love it. Sounds like you've taken that kind of one thing concept and really pushed it way beyond
Yeah.
way beyond where it was to say half of your day needs to be on this one thing. Matt, it's been a lot of fun. I want to go back to where we started on the shortcut to last. And
Yeah.
I just don't understand the name. You feel like spending time with you that you're not about shortcuts. You're not about trying to get to last. And I
Yeah.
just find that a absolutely hilarious band name as we've been talking.
Yeah.
Even if I made up the other name.
I honestly like I think it was my brother was in the band. I think he came up with the name and I was like, that sounds great. That sounds
Yeah.
like a great band name. I don't know what it means. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I
It's
love it.
it's ironically very opposite to what I do now.
as
I
we're talking, I really kind of just had this moment of like kind of
yeah.
as we're going through it today that wow, that is you've grown a lot. You've flipped a lot from that name, I will say.
Yeah.
Um, so how
So
do
I've never
people?
thought about that. So
Sorry,
good.
how do people find you?
You can search my name, Matt Diamante, on the internet, and I'll show up. Or
All
you could
right,
type in HeyTony. That's the name of my agency. Also, my social media handles all have HeyTony in them. That's it.
I'll add some
I'm
links to
everywhere.
the show notes. You are everywhere. I can see that. It's man, this has been a lot of fun. I want to just say thank you for coming on the show. And
Thank you for having me. This
oh,
has been
please,
great.
awesome.
It's
So
fantastic.
thank you. So I'm Dave Gadarian, and thanks for tuning in to the Flip Story. And we'll see y'all soon.